Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Hello, ladies. Welcome to episode 17. That feels so weird to me to be on the 17th episode of this podcast. I feel like this podcast just started last week, and I'm like, how am I at my 17th episode? I know that does not sound like a lot of episodes, but to me, it does. And I just want to say thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for your support, for listening, for downloading the episodes every week, for referring the podcast to your friends. And I want to say, if you are loving this content, please leave a review, leave a rating. It really helps us spread the word that dating after divorce can be an awesome adventure. So, yeah, this podcast has been a little bit of a wild ride for me, and I'm really thankful and appreciative to have you as my audience. So let's get to talking about the third installment in our thoughts series. So we talked about your thoughts about dating, we talked about your thoughts about men, but the overarching area that pins all of that together is your thoughts about yourself. And I put this one last because this is really the most important one, and I kind of wanted to build up to it. If you can deal with all of your thoughts about yourself, your thoughts about men, your thoughts about dating or dating apps or what's out there in the world, dealing with those actually becomes really easy. And I'll give you an example. I remember when I was dating, and I ran into all the same obstacles that you face out there. It looks like there's no one in your city. It looks like all the men you meet are not great guys. It looks like the dating apps don't work, etc., etc., etc. But one of the things that really helped me was I had a really great self concept. I saw myself as being resilient and resourceful and capable, and even though I saw, quote unquote, all of these quote unquote obstacles out there in the world, I had such belief in myself that I felt like, oh yeah, I can overcome these, right? I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know what I'm going to have to do to figure this dating thing out and to find my ideal partner. But if anyone can do it, I am the girl that can do it. And I had thoughts like, I don't know where I'm going to find him. I might have to like scour the whole globe, but for sure, I'm going to find him and I'm going to have a lot of fun doing it. So, because I had that self concept and I had that confidence in myself, what I saw out there on the dating apps or what I saw in the world or the numbers that I faced in terms of the number of dates at any point in time really didn't bother me. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I knew I was the girl who was going to find the guy. I knew that if there was only one guy left, I was for sure the girl that was going to find him. So, your self concept and your thoughts about yourself are really the most important thoughts because when you have that self confidence, it really helps you overcome everything else that's in the world. Now, if you've been married before, which most likely you have, if you are listening to this podcast, if you were in a toxic relationship, if you've got some trauma in your past or some childhood dysfunction, chances are you come with a little bit of baggage, and that baggage might look like some self shame, right? When things go wrong in your life, you might be shaming yourself, or you might blame yourself. You might have some self hate where you don't love yourself, where you have a really negative stream of self talk going on in your brain. I remember long before I started the work of personal development and healing and growing and getting coaching, there was this really um, blaming voice in my head, and I would think thoughts, something would go wrong in my life, or I would say something wrong and I would cringe, and I would have all of this shame in my emotions, and the voice in my head would just play over and over. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Right? And so I had all of that stemming from all the things that had happened in my life and really not understanding the work of healing and growing. And if you have that, it's really hard to step into your full positive self concept if you've got all of that negative self talk going. So, your thoughts about you really determine how you show up in the world of dating. If you blame yourself for your human feelings, so say you're going into a social situation and you feel awkward or you feel a little nervous, and then you have the habit of beating yourself up when you have feelings of nervousness or awkwardness, then you add on additional suffering and additional pain, and you're literally beating yourself down into the ground and adding feelings of worthlessness onto an already nerve wracking social situation. And all of that going on in your brain, in that situation, it takes up all of your energy. It takes up all of your mind space. So you can't show up in that space in a way that is irresistible, in a way that shows off your best parts, in a way that's fun and alive and very attractive. So you can see how it's really important to take a moment to look at inward to yourself. Actually, more important than looking at the men out there, and way more important than looking at the dating apps or the dating scene, is looking at yourself. Because if you can look at yourself, if you can develop the self concept that fuels a powerful dating experience, then you can overcome anything. Like it becomes super easy to go out there and just be you, because you are resourceful, resilient, capable, right? You're confident. You have so much love for yourself that it literally spills out of you. You are able to show up with your most powerful energy, your most irresistible energy, your most fun and flirty self, because you've already dealt with all of the thoughts going on inside of your head. So, how do you develop a self concept that fuels a powerful dating journey? The first step is to become aware of what your current thoughts are. And what is interesting is that you can have really great thoughts about yourself in one area of your life. So perhaps you are really good at what you do at work, or you're a great mother, you're a loving friend. You have all of these positive thoughts about yourself in one area. You can have that and also have really negative thoughts about yourself in another area. So the first step is really to become aware of what your thoughts are about yourself in all the areas of your life. And you might want to start with dating. Like when you think about dating, just take a moment, 5 minutes. All right, let's think about dating. What do I think about myself when it comes to dating? And just get really quiet and see what comes to your mind and write those thoughts down. What does your brain tell you about yourself when you think about dating, or when you think about your relationships or your past relationship, or even how you are dating currently, the dating situations you faced recently? What did your brain tell you about you when it came to those situations? Or you could do a stream of consciousness journaling session and just write freely everything that comes to your mind when you think about dating. And when you do that, you get to see what your thoughts currently are. What are all of your thoughts? Are you thinking, I can't do this? Are you thinking, I'm not ready? Are you thinking, I'm not good enough? Are you thinking, I'm not attractive? Whatever the thoughts are, you want to put them out there so you can see them. And then you want to figure out how these thoughts are impacting you. When you think the thoughts, when you look at them, how do you feel? Are they creating positive, powerful energy that motivates you to get out there and find the man of your dreams? Or are these thoughts beating you down? Are they creating resistance and reluctance for you to go out there? Are they creating shame inside of you or pain? Are you recycling thoughts that make you feel less than or make you feel worthless? Or are you blaming yourself over and over for maybe mistakes that you made or things that you didn't know or dates that you had that went bad? Or even choices that you made that didn't serve you. What are you thinking? When you put all of those thoughts on paper, you can begin to see if they're fueling a positive dating experience or if they're fueling a negative dating experience. And then you want to start to shift those thoughts so that you can shift your feelings and really start to create a whole different approach to your dating experience. If, like me, you have thoughts that I used to have about self-blame, where that record was used to play in my head, what's wrong with you? You might want to shift that particular statement to something more positive, like what is right with me? There was so much when I look back at the girl that I was like, there was so much right with me. There was so much that I was doing that was amazing, that was impactful, that was loving, that was positive. But my brain, because of the negativity bias, was just focused on things that I was doing wrong or mistakes that I was making. So to shift your thoughts to more positive thoughts, you have to change the statement that your brain is making, right? You have to shift the interpretation that you're putting on situations. You have to shift the way you're framing it. So instead of asking myself, what's wrong with you? I could have asked myself, what's right with me currently? What's going right? What am I doing right? And that would have really moved me onto a whole other track in my life where I could have seen what I was doing well and drawn strength from those areas that I could have then brought back maybe to areas where I needed improvement or where I needed to change something. But I would have had the fuel and the energy and the self love and the resourcefulness and the capability. I would have been able to tap into all of that and brought it into the area where I needed to make changes, and I could have made changes from a more positive place versus what I was doing, which was just recycling all of the shame and all of the blame and all of the pain over and over and over again. Your thoughts about yourself impact every single point in your dating journey. From the moment you get on a dating app and you start swiping left and right, your thoughts about yourself are impacting how you do that, right? I have talked to women who will swipe left on all of the really good looking guys and even the guys that they would like to talk to because their thought about themselves is, he wouldn't want to talk to me or he's too good for me, right? Some women will start texting back and forth with a guy, and maybe he's not showing up and he has really low energy and he just doesn't sound like the right guy for them. And because her thought about herself is, well, this is as good as I get, or I can't afford to be too picky, or I'm not good enough, right? That's a really, really subtle thought. She continues to engage a guy who is not right for her. You might be on a date with a man that you really don't want to go on a second date with. You're like, yeah, this is not for me. And then he asks you for a second date. And in that moment, right, instead of saying, oh, no, thank you, this has been fun, I appreciate the time, but I would not want to go on a second date, or however you want to phrase it, in that moment, if you're thinking, I don't want to be mean, I don't want to be selfish, or he's going to get mad at me, like whatever your thoughts are about yourself and your ability to say what's on your mind and your ability to be assertive, that can impact whether or not you go on a second painful date with a man that you don't really want to be on a date with or not. Or if you are, in the process of dating and you're dating multiple people, or maybe you're just not ready to go exclusive with someone, right? And you've designed a process where, okay, I go exclusive after all of these milestones have been met. And then someone asks you to go exclusive maybe after 2 weeks or after a week. These days, I've heard that they ask you to go exclusive after the second date, which is like, really, what's happening here? But in that moment, if you're thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. Or if you feel, you start to feel uncertain about maybe decisions that you've made ahead of time and you're not sure that you know what you're doing, you might give in to someone else's process and say yes and go exclusive with a man before you're ready because you feel uncertain about your own decision making abilities. I don't trust myself. I don't know if I'm making the right decision. All of those thoughts about yourself will impact the decisions you make in the interactions that you have in the dating process. And in the case of going exclusive with someone when you're not sure you want to go exclusive with them or you're not ready to go exclusive yet, that relationship can tie you up for 3 to 6 months only to find out at the end of that time that he really wasn't right for you. But your intuition at that moment was telling you, hey, we're not ready to go exclusive. But your thoughts, right? Your thoughts in that moment were, well, I'm not really sure I'm making the right decision, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I may be wrong. When you have thoughts like that about yourself and you don't have that full self trust and self confidence where you have your own back and you see yourself as being capable, resilient, strong, knowledgeable, smart, able to handle the dating process. When you don't see yourself that way, then you can easily get manipulated or moved about or find yourself in a really, back and forth indecision cycle that causes you to make decisions that you didn't really want to make. So it's super important to be clear about how you think about yourself because you bring all of those parts of yourself to the dating to the dating journey. You bring all of those parts of yourself to the decisions that you make while you're dating, to the men you choose to date, to the men you choose to go exclusive with. All of those things are built on the foundation of how you think about yourself. So, what are your thoughts about you? Become aware of them, start to take a look at them, start to shift them so that you have a more powerful dating journey. And if this is something that is really on your mind right now, I want to invite you to join me for the masterclass that I am hosting May 24 to 28. This is a free event that I am hosting via Zoom, and you can find the information on my website, shadecurry.com, or you can find me on Instagram at shadecurry, or also on Facebook, Shade Curry. I am hosting a 5-day masterclass to talk about how to bring your intuition, your intelligence, and your intention together to create a really powerful dating journey. In this class, I'm going to talk about what we've been talking about, your thoughts about men, your thoughts about dating, your thoughts about you. I'm going to talk about how to listen to yourself, how to create awareness within yourself about exactly what to do at every point in your dating journey, how to educate your intelligence so that you know that you're making the right decision, and then how to have the assertiveness to say what you want, to ask for what you want, to go for what you want, so that you're actually on a straight path towards your intention, which is your goal, your vision for the relationship that you really want. So all of that information is on my website. The banner gives you the link to learn about the masterclass and to sign up if you're interested. I would love, love, love to see you there. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to be sharing all the best parts of my coaching process with you. And I hope that I will get to interact with some of those of you who have been listening to the podcast at this event, and really get to know some of you. So, thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to shadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.